It was just a normal day. My day went like any other. I ate breakfast, went to work, did everything normally. However, as I went to sleep that day, something would happen. I would wake up in a new body. As I was shocked, I saw my hand was completely white, like Frieza's hand. As I looked around, I saw Zarbon and Dodoria as I was sitting on a chair that was floating. They both said, "Are you okay, Lord? You look worried." "Lord?" I quickly ran around the spaceship to see any mirror or anything. I ran into a mirror as I saw my face. I couldn't believe it. I was Frieza. I just couldn't even talk. Zarbon and Dodoria looked at me, worried. Frieza's never done this before. Just run out like that? I looked at them and said, "Oh, I'm fine, subordinates," not really knowing what to say. Then I realized something. How late in the series am I? Are we going to Namek? Was this when Vegeta was a kid? How late in the series is this? I would then ask a status report on Vegeta and Nappa. Vegeta and Nappa, "Oh yes. It seems that they have betrayed you, Lord. I've gone off straight to Earth without telling you." So I would realize that's how late in the series I am in. I could go to Namek, but let's do something unique. After all, Vegeta will go straight to Namek if I go to Namek. Maybe I should keep the timeline the same, but if I do that, then I'm gonna die, so I probably shouldn't do that. I really didn't know what to do. All I could do was think, as Dodoria says, "My lord, what are you thinking about?" "Nothing." Dodoria would say, with the Dragon Balls on Earth, there would be Dragon Balls on Namek, and we could easily get them, since a Namekian was on Earth the whole time. I thought, interesting, I'll keep that in mind. Should we send the troops there? No, not yet. I would go off and begin to train, but I hated it. In real life, I didn't mind doing exercises or anything like that, but for some reason, my body just hated training. It despised it, but I had to do it. I had to make sure I was strong enough to beat back a Super Saiyan if I had to. I could use the Dragon Balls on Namek to wish back my old life, but would I even want that? Did anyone really care about me back then? And I get to fly and rule a universe. Why would I ever do that? In this body, it was affecting me. I can feel my emotions changing. It was getting harder and harder to care about anyone. I still cared about Vegeta and everyone I had attachments to from watching the show, but it got harder and harder to. And my empathy was shrinking. I was becoming more sadistic every second I was in this body. I sighed. I could do nothing but let his sadistic side wash over me as I trained. I trained only for an hour that day. I couldn't train any more than that. An hour a day should be fine with my potential anyway. I sighed as I continued to walk around the ship, planning out my next move. Things should play out normally in canon on Earth, so should I go to Namek or should I not? Maybe I could. What would I even wish for? There was so many questions drilling inside my head. I really didn't know what to do. But I decided I would train for a while, then I would go off to Namek, just to see how things would go. But then I got a better idea. I knew that Vegeta was going to come back from Earth, so why don't I give him an opportunity when he does? Maybe this way he won't leave. Maybe this way he'll start to respect me. I asked him what's the previous planet I just conquered, because, well, I remembered in the series, Vegeta mentioned that it was the planet that I just took over. Zarbon and Dodoria told me, as I decided to stay there and wait for him. Eventually, Vegeta's space pod would arrive, and as he healed and got out, he saw me. Vegeta looked at me in terror, but then I said, "Don't worry. I have a proposition for you, Vegeta. An interesting one. I think I've seen your potential now, and it's above anything I've ever experienced before." Vegeta looked confused. "What are you talking about?" "Oh, Vegeta, I want you to become my right-hand man. I will train you, and I'll even let you kill Zarbon and Dodoria, and I'll train with you. But first, let's get to Namek and give you some immortality. But I think you can handle Dodoria after your big injury. You get stronger each time you heal, right?" Vegeta was shocked. He didn't expect me to give him such an offer, but Vegeta figured he could probably get immortality and kill me. But I'll just keep training, and since my potential's so great, you won't be able to kill me, not even with immortality. Vegeta accepted. As I took Vegeta back to my ship, I called for Dodoria to meet me alone. Dodoria walked up to me as Vegeta was right next to me. Dodoria says, "What is he doing, sir? You want me to punish him?" I began to laugh and say, "Well, I have a proposition. Vegeta's gonna battle you to the death, and whoever wins gets that position and becomes my right-hand man, fully." Dodoria looked confused. "But I'm your right-hand man. Why would I battle him?" Oh, Dodoria. You become weak and submissive. It's time I get rid of you, once and for all. For some reason, I began to enjoy this. I began to enjoy the suffering. As Vegeta fought Dodoria was losing and began to suffer, and I began to laugh. My evil nature began to fill my body. It turns out Frieza was rubbing off on me, and not in a good way. Dodoria was panicking. He could tell them the truth about what happened to Planet Vegeta, but I would just kill him anyway. He was desperate, so he decided to do it. He was crying and said, "Vegeta, please don't kill me. I know the truth about your planet." I would look and say, "Beerus made me destroy your planet. I didn't want to. That's why we need to get revenge on Beerus." Vegeta was shocked, as then he thrusted his fist deep into Doria's chest and blew him out from the inside. As Vegeta looked at me and says, "Is that true?" "Yes." Vegeta would then say, "Seems like we have a common enemy. But how would we ever at the Dragon Balls? It's the only way we could ever become strong enough to defeat Beerus." Vegeta would nod. As Doria was dead, Vegeta would be my right-hand man, and would begin to go to Namek. But as we went to Namek, me and Vegeta would train together. It would take a week to reach to Namek, so we trained for 3 days straight. Vegeta's power level grew rapidly, and mine grew too. It grew far faster than Vegeta's, to say the least. And Vegeta would even teach me how to sense energy without a scouter. I would figure it would be best to teach my entire army this. That way we wouldn't rely on such technology. As the 3 days passed, I was confident that Vegeta could defeat Zarbon, so I called Zarbon over here. And Zarbon was a bit disgusted with me replacing Doria with Vegeta, but Vegeta was stronger. But at the same time, the Frieza force was never based on strength. True, Frieza had his most elite soldiers at the top, but it was based on loyalty above all else. However, Vegeta was not loyal. Zarbon knew this. Zarbon would look at us and say, "What is it, Lord? I want you to fight Vegeta now," same way Dodoria did. Zarbon would look at me angry and say, "Lord, why are you doing this? If he wins, you have a bigger threat." Oh. I know how to keep them. I had to bite my tongue, trying not to say monkey. I know how to keep him with me. Now, let the battle begin. Vegeta walked behind Zarbon. Then they began to battle, but Zarbon was losing. As I said, "Zarbon, go into your ugly transformation. Don't underestimate him." Zarbon would say, "Shut up, you're letting a monkey take my place? A monkey kill me after everything we've been through?" Zarbon would then transform and say, "How could you do this, Frieza? How could you?" Simply looked at him, and I began to smirk. "I guess I just don't feel myself today." As I laughed, this laugh felt so exhilarating. It felt so good to watch Zarbon in pain. As Zarbon transformed and began to fight Vegeta with everything he had, it still wasn't enough. Zarbon was getting pushed further and further back. He would get on his knees and beg for his life. "Please, please, Frieza, save me. Step in. I've been your right-hand man for so long. I know what to do. He won't know what to do. Please, please, please." But then, I shot a death beam straight through his skull, killing him. It's so annoying when they plead like that. It can be fun, but from your own subordinates, you expect more. As I continued to laugh, it seems that things are actually going pretty well. With Vegeta on my side, it seems that we can easily do this. And with my potential, there's no way he can surpass me. However, we're going to need Dende for the password. It would be easier just to go to Earth after they bring back the Dragon Balls. But let's make things more of a challenge. After all, let's mess up the Namek saga a little bit. My humanity is almost entirely gone, but I still have some. Only a very few. Will that even show? I didn't know. But as a week passed, eventually our spaceship landed on Namek. Finally land on Namek. As we all went out, the Namekians surrounded us. I ordered my soldiers to be cautious with them. As I walked to the village, I would say, give me your Dragon Balls. They would say no, obviously. I would be like, let's see, I know there's a password for it. How did you know that? Just tell me the password and I'll take them all and I won't kill anyone. I'm gonna get them either way. If you do this, I won't have to hurt anybody. But the Namekians were still refusing, saying I wasn't pure of heart. Suddenly, I got anger and anger and anger until I just shot a death beam, killing one of them. It just slipped. I didn't even mean to do it, but it felt good. I realized something horrifying. All my humanity was gone. Frieza's evilness has fully taken over my body and brain. I sighed. As an Namekian died, I would go, give me the Dragon Balls or I would kill the kids. He began to shake in fear as he gave them up, and I said, now on to the next village. Frieza, shouldn't we slaughter them all? Vegeta said, no, we got what we wanted. Besides, I don't know if they have telepathic powers, so they might be able to tell each other about this stuff. I hear they have weird abilities, so if we keep our word, they'll hand them up easier. Vegeta thought that made sense, and he didn't think I was going soft because I just murdered someone, but I was still acting weird. But Vegeta decided to fly with me. As this time, I let Vegeta torture the village, and Vegeta was getting his information. I was getting bored as we cut to Gohan and Krillin. Gohan and Krillin would both land on the planet, just like in canon. Everything would continue up and normal, but this time, when Dende was there, I began to look around. I realized that they would go after to save him. I would say, Vegeta, draw them out, please. Draw them out, Vegeta would say, confused, as I would point towards the boy. Vegeta would charge towards the boy, but then Gohan would jump in front of the way, kicking Vegeta and grabbing him and flying away. Vegeta would then fly after them. I was tempted to go after them too, but I needed to lead my army. Besides, Vegeta had it covered, but then I began to realize what I did. Vegeta won't lose them. Vegeta might kill them, and if he kills them, Goku might turn Super Saiyan as soon as he gets here. That thought began to spin shivers down my spine. As I got up and started doing push-ups, my army was confused as they asked what I was doing. Preparing for a fight, I said. As we cut to Vegeta, Vegeta would catch up to them. Well, isn't the little runt who humiliated me last time? Gohan and Krillin would both look at them, as they would begin to shake. Look, Vegeta, Frieza's gonna betray you anyway. Frieza promised me immortality. Once I get it, I'll just break the Dragon Balls and kill him myself. It might take a while, but when I'm immortal, it won't matter. Besides, I could tell he means it this time. He's different than he was before. This confused Gohan and Krillin, but then Vegeta just blew Krillin up as Gohan began to get pissed off. He watched his best friend, or one of his best friends that he made on the way, just die in front of him as he screamed, "You killed my friend!" and charged at him. His power level began to skyrocket as he kicked Vegeta straight in the face, making him drop one drop of blood, as then he shot a massive Basinko, but Vegeta was just barely able to dodge it in time. As Gohan's power level began to shrink, Vegeta grabbed Gohan as he was going to kill him, but then one of my soldiers flew up to him and says, orders from, don't kill the little green ones, the soldier said. As Vegeta looked over, I guess Frieza has use for you. But he didn't say anything about you, runt. As he grabbed Gohan, Gohan began to scream for mercy, beg to be let go. I am a Saiyan, aren't I, please? Vegeta would say, true, you are a Saiyan. And normally I would keep you alive for the race, but once I'm immortal, the Saiyan race will live forever. That is all that matters, Vegeta would say, as then he would step on one of Gohan's arms, breaking it. As Gohan began to cry out in pain, he began to bleed more and more. Gohan shot a ki blast after ki blast, punch after punch, but no matter what he did, he couldn't hit Vegeta. Vegeta was just too strong. As Vegeta then karate chopped him, breaking his neck and killing him once and for all. As Gohan's body laid on the floor, Vegeta would grab Dende. Dende would scream and try to fight back, but Vegeta would just knock him out as he flew towards me. Excellent work, Vegeta, I would say. He will be useful. We need him to unlock the Dragon Balls. He has the password. Now, I think it's time we go to the Grand Elders, but we can't kill him. I would then begin to fly up there personally. I would say, Vegeta, handle things right here. Vegeta would look intrigued. I trusted him to handle his whole army. Well, it's not like he could just get him to rise up against me, but still, big deal. As Vegeta would then stay behind and look after the army was confused. Why would they let Vegeta do it? Vegeta was a high soldier, of course, but he was never super strong. As Vegeta was looking after the army, Kui would walk up to Vegeta, jealous of all the attention and all the power he's gained. Kui would then yell at Vegeta, "How'd you get this strong?" Vegeta would then charge his power fully. As Kui tried to sense it with the scouter would blow up. He walked back scared. Simple. I become more powerful than you can ever imagine through training, because my race is just superior to yours, Kui. A Saiyan race is everything in this universe, and I'll show everyone that. Vegeta said, smirking. As we cut back to me, I landed on Grand Elder Guru's place, as Nail would walk up to me. "Hello, Nail. Do you mind stepping forth so I can get that Dragon Ball?" Nail would say no, but then I would just punch him, as I would go straight into my final form. I could easily take you in my first, but I want to test out all this power I've been gaining, I said, smirking. As Nail began to shake, how could someone be this strong? I would say, now, that is not quite warranted. However, maybe it is. I did train quite a bit. I hope I'm strong enough to beat that Super Simian, but I really don't know. Nail would say, Super Simian? Don't worry about it. Nail would then punch me as hard as he could, but it did nothing. As he would try to hit me again and again and again and again, but it did nothing. As eventually, I just shot him in the head with a death beam, killing him instantly. As then I walked in, Guru would grab the Dragon Ball and say, "I can sense it. You're not that person. Your soul has become corrupted and evil because of the body it's in. I can awake your potential and bring back your compassion." This shocked me. Should I do it? He could bring back my compassion. He can make me the person I once was. I looked down and thought about it, but then I said no. I am Emperor Frieza. My old life, I was a no one. And now, since I'm Frieza, I shall rule the universe. Guru looked disappointed. I figured that's what you would say, as in, I gently as possible knocked him out and took the Dragon Ball. As I flew back, we had all the Dragon Balls. Finally, I was ready to make my wish, as I began to laugh maniacally. Gathered up all the Dragon Balls, Dende would refuse at first. However, eventually through threats, we would get him able to agree. Dende would then summon the dragon. As Vegeta wished for immortality, I would wish to learn any technique just by seeing it once, because immortality might be too boring. Then, I'd wish to be 5 inches taller, because, well, I really wanted that for some reason. I guess centimeters, but I'm more bold than Frieza, so I wish for inches. After that, the dragon disappeared, and we waited for Kakarot to show up, and eventually he would. As he landed, King Kai would tell him the truth, and he began to scream with anger, scream with pain, knowing his son was dead. As he transformed to a Super Saiyan, all of the soldiers shook, as I transformed to my final form. Stay here, Vegeta. This battle was just for me. Goku would fly straight towards me. As he landed, I would look at him. So you're Frieza, the man who took my son. I'm gonna take more than that. When I come to your planet, I'm gonna destroy it, I said, smirking. As Goku was in a fighting stance, I was too. And I was holding back my power so I looked weaker, because I learned how to do that. With training with Vegeta, I learned about Ki, how to use my power, how to maintain it, and all kinds of things. And I was going to enjoy this. This was the final showdown, but this time, Frieza was gonna win. As Goku yelled at me, he said, "Stop holding back." I began to awaken my true power. As Goku looked, he was shocked. Even with all this anger, even with all this pain, even with all this strength, I was still stronger. However, he still had better technique, since I was not a martial artist. I was just teleported into this world. We both began to battle each other, pushing each other more and more and more. And I knew the longer this battle drawn out, the worse time I had of winning. So I had to finish him off right here, right now. So I charged up a massive death ball and threw it right at him. As Goku launched the Kamehameha right at it, I began to push it with all of my might, all of my strength. As I went into my buff form, Goku pushed it with all of his might, all of his strength. It was good versus evil. But this time, evil had an unfair advantage. This time, evil knew about good. And this time, evil knew everything Goku was gonna do. As I began to push more, I had one of my soldiers sneak up on Goku, hiding his power level, and blasting him straight in the legs. This distracted him for just enough for me to push the death ball straight into his face. As Goku screamed in agony, as Goku screamed in pain, he died. And I was victorious. It's been a couple weeks since I killed Goku. I'm on the verge of unlocking my gold form, I can feel it, but I had an idea. If Trunks was born, he could help my army. If I sent Vegeta to meet Bulma, would they still do that, or would they not? I decided to give Vegeta a mission. I heard about this woman named Bulma. She's been bugging our stuff, just from Earth. Very impressive. I want you to meet with her, and try to get her to join our team of scientists. Vegeta looked at me confused. Really, an Earth woman? You want me to waste my time? Why not get someone else to do it? You look like a human. Even though you're not one, you could give her a quaint appearance. And besides, I want someone to scare her into submissive. And you're the type of guy for the job. Vegeta smirked. As he agreed, he decided to go to Earth. As he landed at Capsule Corp, Bulma would look at him scared as he brought 2 space pods with him. Bulma would look and begin to shake. You're that Vegeta guy. Stay away from me. She began to yell at him, but then get scared again. She yelled at him. He said, you dare have the nerve to yell at Vegeta? Yeah, sorry, well, you're just, don't destroy me, alright? Got that? You're a terrible person, Bulma yelled, and then she looked at him scared again, and Vegeta actually liked it. He didn't know why, but this woman yelling at him, it just aroused him. Vegeta would say, I like you, get in that pod. I could just fly there, but I forget the exact coordinates. What do you mean? I'm immortal. I can fly through space, he said, smirking. As Bulma and Vegeta got in the pods, they began to launch off. Little did Vegeta know that this was more than just me having him look after her. This was me trying to make sure Trunks was born, trying to make sure Trunks was indoctrinated into my forces. As they traveled back, we cut back to me. I've been training push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, runs, nothing special. With my potential, I should reach gold, but I feel locked. I feel like I can't do it. I begin to scream. I hated training. I hated working out. I hated putting effort into anything. It's not fair. As I screamed, the entire ship shook, and I turned gold. Then I turned out of it. I decided to hide that from Vegeta. Hide it from everyone, at least for now. Now it's time to get Vegeta to try to unlock Super Saiyan. Then I'll have him fight the androids. Why? Because I'm bored. The android still should be made, right? Even without future Trunks, since Trunks will be born in my army? I didn't really know. But I just wanted some entertainment. I would make sure Vegeta spent time with Bulma. Bulma and Vegeta were never apart, and I gave them some privacy to make sure that Trunks was born. Eventually, Bulma would get knocked up. After that happened, I would make sure that Vegeta trained in the gravity room. I built a gravity room just for him. Me and him would train together, and I would tell him about the Super Saiyan. I would tell him about Kakarot and what he achieved. Vegeta would say, I wish I got to kill him, but at least he's dead. Besides, I will become a Super Saiyan that's immortal, way better than that Super Saiyan. Vegeta says, as he looked at me. He wanted to say he would kill me, but he couldn't. He was biting his tongue, and I could tell. It was quite funny to see a monkey bite their tongue. I'm not gonna lie. That thought just slipped my mind. As me and Vegeta kept training on and on and on, months passed. Eventually, through hard work, through hard training, Vegeta would unlock Super Saiyan. And I smirked. Well done. But there's a form you can never achieve, monkey. A form of why I'm always above you. As I turned gold, Vegeta fell to the floor. What is this power? This is the power of myself. Never think you're above me, I said, as I looked down. Then I turned back to my base form. But you're my favorite, Vegeta, so you don't have to worry, I said, laughing. As I walked away, Vegeta kept shaking. He never forgot that. Eventually, the time would come when androids would appear, so I'd fly my spaceship there, with only Vegeta with me. Vegeta would say, what are you doing, Lord? I have intel that something interesting will happen here, I said. And besides, this will be good training for yourself. You should be stronger than normal. What do you mean stronger than normal? Just forget about it. I landed on Earth as me and Vegeta got out, but I forgot which island they would show up in. A South something, I couldn't remember. And Earth was a big place, so I was kind of dumbfounded. So all I could do was send out drones and wait for a city to be attacked, and eventually it did happen. As the cameras caught a city on fire, I figured it out. This had to be them. As me and Vegeta flew there, it was just Dr. Gero and that fat android. That's not even worth saying its name. That fat white one. I was just so annoyed. They both looked at me. As Vegeta looked at them, Dr. Gero would say, "How did you get here, Vegeta? And who are you?" He would look at Frieza, me, as I smirked. "Oh, I am the Emperor of the Universe, and I am the one who killed that monkey Goku." "Goku's dead?" Dr. Gero would look down angry. He did all this for nothing. Now he was gonna die? Screw that. They can't be that strong. Android 20, you know what to do. 20 would battle Vegeta, and Vegeta would turn Super Saiyan, humiliate him, and destroy him. Dr. Gero would get scared as he ran off, but I would say, "Let him run off. I have an idea." As I hid my power level and began to follow him, eventually Dr. Gero would go into his lab, as I would blow open the door. Dr. Gero would quickly try to awaken 17 and 18, but I would blow him up before he could do it. And look at them. "Looks like we have some new henchmen," I said, laughing. I then opened the two containers containing 17 and 18, as I looked at them, saying, "You now work for me." 7 and 18 just laughed at me. "Where's Dr. Gero?" "I killed him. I am Frieza, Emperor of the Universe. You can do what you want, have a good time, but you're gonna have to work for me." I think those are pretty fair rules. 17 would say, "Like I would work for you. You look like a cum-stained lizard." As then he tried to punch me, but then I just smirked, as the punch did nothing. 17 looked at me confused, as I would laugh and say, "I don't think you get it. You don't have a choice." As I would turn gold, 17 would shake in fear, so would 18. As they would yell, "This is not possible." 17 would charge at me, so would 18. They would both hit me with everything they had. Key blast after key blast, punch after punch, but I couldn't stop laughing. As they tried again and again and again and again and again and again, I simply slapped 17 straight to the floor. As he got up, parts of his face missing, wires came out. Human flesh was also showing, as a hole in his face was there. "I didn't even mean to do that. I was just slapping you. Now both of you get on the ship." As I began to charge a death beam, 17 and 18 looked at me scared, as they begrudgingly agreed to get on the ship. As we went to Bulma, Bulma would fix 17. After that, I would demand that 17 and 18 fight Vegeta, one-on-one. I want to see what Vegeta's made out of. Vegeta agreed excitedly. It was time to see my star pupil fight 17 and 18, and see how well I've done training him. The first match would be 18 versus Vegeta. Vegeta and 18 would go at each other. 18 was strong, just like in canon, but Vegeta had immortality. Every time she blasted him, he just healed. And Vegeta was much stronger in this timeline. However, it was still a close fight, because 18 had infinite energy and Vegeta didn't. He could still get tired, but he just couldn't die. As Vegeta and 18 continued the battle more and more and more, the battle dragged on for minutes, then hours. Eventually, though, Vegeta would win, just barely able to defeat 18. I was smirking. He did it. He defeated one of the androids. It was quite a big accomplishment, especially as me for a teacher. After that, I demanded that they all train together, making them even stronger. As they were all training, I would walk up to Bulma. She was working on a machine and carrying baby Trunks. As I said, "You know you can just put that baby in a tank, right?" She would say, "That's not the point. I don't want my baby raised in some alien tank thing." I would laugh and say, "Oh, you humans are interesting." Bulma would say, "So, why are you doing this?" "What do you mean? Vegeta is immortal. Isn't he a threat to you? Why are you letting him live?" "Oh, please, I'm so powerful. Vegeta could never overthrow me." Bulma would say, "It's almost like you're attached to him." I would say, "I'm not attached to that monkey." As I was on my throne room, time has passed. Androids 17 and 18 have become loyal to me out of fear. They have seen my power, and they know they can never overthrow me. Vegeta has grown much stronger, even unlocked Super Saiyan 2, but he even knows his place. However, I am beginning to grow worrisome. You see, training is such a big deal, and it's such hard work. I really don't like it. And besides, with my gold form, I'm already above everyone else, except for Beerus, and I know he's gonna wake up eventually. After the Buu saga, he will wake up. After the Buu saga comes, I'm gonna find a time chamber, and I'm gonna train for 10 years straight, unlock my black form. Even though I won't be strong to beat Beerus in it, I have a technique, an idea how to stop him. But first, I need to get this Buu saga out of the way, so I waited and waited until one day Supreme Kai Shen would walk through the throne room. Vegeta, 17 and 18 will be all ready to fight him. I would say, wait, this is the Supreme Kai. Why are you here, Supreme One? Shen would look at me, disgusted. I've heard you've gotten a lot stronger. And even though I didn't want to turn to you, you're the only choice I have. I need your help to stop Majin Buu. I would look at him. I thought about killing him. After all, I could easily defeat Majin Buu if he awakens. And with Shen dead, Beerus will be dead. However, where's the fun in that? I have a much more delicious, entertaining way to defeat Beerus. And I think it will pay homage to the original Dragon Ball. I would look at Shen and say, fine, lead the way. As me, Vegeta, 17 and 18 all followed Shen. As we went down to Earth, we would look around, continuing to walk throughout the planet. Now, I honestly wanted Majin Buu to be unleashed. If Majin Buu was unleashed, then I can destroy him in my golden form and show my superiority to Shen. This would make a great moment, and it would make Beerus want to come after me even more, so I can surprise him with a trap. However, I didn't realize it would be a lot harder as in canon, because, well, they didn't get Gohan's energy, and Gohan doesn't even exist anymore. As we continued to walk around, eventually we found a Babidi spaceship. Earth was pretty much untouched by my empire, because it was completely useless. True, we could conquer and sell it, but there's really no use in that. And besides, without the Dragon Balls, there's really nothing for it. And out of respect, since I used to be a human, I decided to leave Earth alone. However, Babidi saw this and quickly went back to his spaceship, giddily trying to revive Majin Buu. As we were watching, Devora would fly up and kill Debito. He would try to spit on 17 and 18, but then they would dodge it. Vegeta would try to let him spit on him, since he's immortal, he didn't care, but I would kick him out of the way, then jump out of the way. As it hit a rock, it turned to stone. Vegeta would say, why'd you do that? We're gonna let him do it because you're immortal, but don't forget, not all techniques kill you. I would point to the rock as it turned to stone. As Deborah looked at me, so you're cautious, Frieza, that's good. You would make a good servant for Babidi. I'll keep that in mind. I would look at him and begin to laugh. You think Babidi can control me? Babidi's a little midget with anger issues. If anything, you'll make a good servant under me. The great Demon King working under Frieza. Now that's something that could entertain me. Deborah looked at me, a bit disgusted, as he flew down the spaceship. And we all began to follow him. Shin warned that it was a trap, but I didn't care. Trap or not, nothing could stand in my way. As we went to the first level, suddenly Kui would walk through the door. Kui would look at us. Frieza, your reputation precedes you. I've heard about you, the Emperor of the Universe, and now even you will fall before my might. I would look at him and say, I was going to let Vegeta or someone else handle you. But since you said that, I'm going to handle you myself. Babidi would laugh, looking at us. Yes, Frieza, fall before my trap. Get energy collected. Shin would jump in front of the way. But you must fight him all together. It is foolish to fight him one-on-one, but I'll just smack him with my tail, sending him to the other direction. Shut up, you. As I would walk to Pui and punch him. Pui would get up and we'd begin to battle, but I would grab his neck with my tail and begin to squeeze it, as I shot death beams all across his body. Nothing vital, though. I began to torture Pui, enjoying his suffering, enjoying his pain, as I laughed. Who was falling before who now? I was gonna ask you to join me, but now I'm gonna make sure your death is slow and painful as possible. Babidi would begin to panic as he put us on Pui Pui's home planet. But that did nothing, as 10 times gravity was nothing to me, and even with that advantage, Pui Pui was no match. So I slowly tortured him, breaking his bones, breaking his spirit, breaking his body, as he slowly bled to death, and I dropped him on the floor. Shin would look horrified. What a monster Frieza is. What a monster I am. As we went to the next level, I would say, Vegeta, you can have it, and then 17 and 18 can fight Deborah. I think this will be interesting. Hoo hoo hoo. As suddenly Yakon would walk in. As Yakon walked in, he would crave energy. He would need it. He would feed upon it. He was a beast that only cared about hunger. Vegeta would fight him. And well, Vegeta would begin to humiliate Yakon. Even with the lights turned off, he can easily smell and sense his energy. As Vegeta began to beat him up, Yakon would then absorb his energy as he turned Super Saiyan. But since Vegeta was immortal, he really didn't care, so he turned Super Saiyan 2 full power. And Yakon absorbed the energy super quickly. As Shin said, stop, what are you doing? He feeds on it, you're only making him stronger. As suddenly Yakon blew up. I would laugh and say, you don't know much, do you, Supreme Kai? Shin would look at us, disappointed. As we walked to the final room, Babidi was getting more and more scared. But Deborah said, try to mind control Frieza. He's the strongest one. He has to be. He would try to do it, but it didn't work. I simply laughed and say, I'm no one's puppet. As then Deborah came out, and 17 and 18 both came out, as Deborah began to fight them both. As I would look around, I would whisper to Vegeta, let him take over. I have a plan. You do? Yeah, you'll get a massive power boost from it, and hopefully it'll awaken Majin Buu. I want to fight him. Vegeta would just nod, as Deborah began to fight 17 and 18. 18 and 17 began to demolish Deborah. They both had combo attacks and infinite stamina. Even though Deborah was no slouch and knew a bit of magic, he was still no match for them. And as he began to get more and more beat up, Babidi started to panic. He looked through mine. 17 and 18 wouldn't work. Desperately, he tried Vegeta. As Vegeta began to scream, he began to grab his head. As I began to laugh, yes, yes. Shin said, what the hell are you laughing at? He's taking over Vegeta, I know. Then Majin Buu will be awoken, and I can crush him and prove I'm the strongest in the universe. Shin would look at me and say, you're insane. Insane? No. I just know I'm the strongest. As Vegeta began to yell more and more violently, he began to get an M on his forehead. Majin Vegeta was born. After that, I looked at Vegeta and said, you probably want to go after me, don't you? You want revenge. You want to prove yourself. Vegeta nodded. Vegeta knew he couldn't win. He saw my golden form, but he still wanted to fight me, and I let him. So, we continued the battle. As me and Vegeta battled on and on and on, I shot Death Beam after Death Beam, Power Beam after Power Beam. That just made Vegeta heal again and again and again. I was just making more and more energy come out. I didn't want to use too much stamina. Eventually, as all the energy kept passing on and on and on, Majin Buu would awoken. Steam began to rise up from the room as Babidi, Deborah, and Majin Buu all walked in. Vegeta, 17, 18 were shocked to see Majin Buu wasn't really that scary, but I simply looked at him walking up to him. Hello, Majin Buu, are you ready? Ready to meet your end? Majin Buu would say, you challenge Buu, Buu, strongest there is. But then I would turn gold and shocking everyone. Well, everyone as in Shin, Deborah, and Babidi and Majin Buu. My crew knew about it. As Buu looked and said, oh, you shiny, Buu-like. You act childlike no matter what. Let's see how childish you act when you're dead. I began to charge a death ball. As I looked at him, well, the mighty Majin Buu, the one person I was told not to fight, finally obliterated. As I threw the death ball right at Majin Buu, destroying him, as I began to laugh. After that, I walked up to Babidi and shot him with a death beam straight in the skull, killing him. As then I looked at Deborah, join me or die. Deborah began to shake as he nodded. As then I walked out, I began to get a call from one of my scouters. I still kept them around just to get calls and stuff. I didn't use them. As I answered, it was King Cold. King Cold heard about me being different. As I said father, not trying to let him know I was someone else. King Cold said,
I heard you went off to fight Majin Buu. What were you thinking? I already got rid of him. What? Yep. And I began to explain how powerful I was. King Cold then shivered and nodded. As then I smirked and said, maybe I'll pay him a visit later. Things might get really interesting. I began to laugh. With Majin Buu defeated, there was only one more threat, Beerus, and I had to act quickly. I was going to train in the time chamber and get ready for him, and I already had an idea how to beat him.
Beerus wouldn't be having dreams. He'd be having nightmares. It's been a while since I've stopped Majin Buu. I've even trained, got my black form. Beerus would be having nightmares of fighting Black Frieza and losing, dying slowly, his bones breaking, his ribs broken, and blood pouring down his body, slowly bleeding out. As he would wake up, it was just a dream. Beerus would become worried of me, as he would ask Whis what happened to me, and then he would say, "That's peculiar. Frieza changed. What do you mean?" Well, the universe gets rid of a soul and adds it with someone else's in a dire situation to change itself. Frieza has been reincarnated with someone from the Watch universe. You see, every anime is real. Everyone who lives inside of it is alive. But there is a universe where every anime is fiction, a universe where they watch all the other universes. This universe, they have no special powers, no special abilities. It's the only universe where no one is special. And yet, they all watch other people who are special. And every once in a while, someone from that universe will get reincarnated, just like every isekai. The universe does it to fix itself. Each universe is alive. The black holes inside of it are like hearts beating. And Universe 7 is trying to fix itself by having me be reincarnated, trying to make a new event, a new future for itself. As Whis explained it, Beerus will become agitated. "So, this person is a fan of our show, correct?" I always hated that universe. Watching everything we do. Watching everything. So he's a big nerd. He probably knows a bunch of things about me. I should attack him as soon as I see him. I'll pretend to be all friendly, then attack him. Whis would say, "If that's your course of action, then go for it, Beerus. Usually you're straight up. Be careful. He knows you quite well." Beerus would nod. As we cut to me, "I've been waiting for quite a while. I've been getting everything ready. They must be perfect. My trap for Beerus will be set. I'll pretend to be all welcoming to him, introducing him to tons of new food. Then, I'll hit him with my sneak attack. Both of us plan to betray the other without knowing that we have in store. All we truly know is that we want to kill each other."
As time passed, eventually Beerus would show up. I would have a great feast. Trunks would greet him. "Oh, hello, Lord Beerus. I heard quite about you. My Lord Frieza sure does talk about you," as Trunks gave him some food. Beerus looked at me. He was fake smiling, and I looked at him. "You know, I can tell we both want to kill each other." Guru could tell who I was. The only person who couldn't of great stature was Supreme Kai Shen. I guess because he can't really do his job right, no matter what universe he's in. "You know who I am, don't you?" Beerus will look at me and say, "That's right. Whis looked in about your backstory. You were some small-time YouTuber. Interesting. You made what-ifs, now you're in a what-if yourself." I looked at Beerus. It was weird to have him truly know who I was, but I truly knew everything about him, so I guess it was only fair. That's right. And now I get to make my own story, except I've seen a lot of those stories. When Goku was evil. When Goku was Goku Black. It ends with a destruction of other universes. However, this universe brought you here for a reason. It needed you. So, I have to hope something. Hope what? The universe doesn't make you win, because that's the only way you're gonna win. As Beerus began to yell, he went to 100% full power. The entire planet, no, the entire galaxy shook from it. I looked at him as I turned into my black form, causing the entire galaxy to shake. We both looked at each other. Even with all this training, I could tell our power is going to be very closely matched. But Beerus would probably win because of his great techniques. I've learned techniques and I learned how to fight and sense ki, but I'm not a fighter. I rely on my power to win. So, I was going to have to do something quick. And I had an idea. We both flew up into the sky. As I looked at him and began to laugh. Hoo, 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 hoo. This battle was set in stone before it even started. Beerus looked at me and said, yeah, it was. So I don't know why you're so cocky. It's obvious a destroyer's gonna win. I am a god. As then we began to battle, trade blow after blow. As Beerus looked at me, so, you're a decent fighter. It seems you've gotten used to this universe. You are a nerd though, it makes sense you would get used to it. Alright, let me give you something to quiver in, something to shake in fear. No matter how strong you are, you still don't have Ultra Ego. As suddenly Beerus would charge a massive Akai and throw it at me. Then I would charge one too and throw it back. Beerus looked shocked. How is this possible? I would say I wish to learn any technique just by seeing it once. A nerd's biggest dream. I can learn anything about this universe. As I pushed it against Beerus's massive Hakai, and he pushed it against mine. It began to push further and further and further until they both blew each other up. As then, I mastered Ultra Ego too. This shocked Beerus. The power was insane, but Beerus refused to give up as both of us went at it with every single thing we had, pushing each other more and more and more. And the battle was, as we continued the battle, Beerus would look at me and say, can you really think you can defeat me? Can you really even fathom my power? I don't think you can. You're a fan. You've watched everything, but you never experienced it before. You never experienced true combat. You've been given Frieza's body. You've been put on a video game on easy mode. I was placed on hard mode. I've worked my way up. I've become a god of destruction. And I have taken care of Universe 7 better than anyone else can. You really think you can compete with that? I don't care how many techniques you learn. You can't use them as well as I do. As I used Ultra Ego, I couldn't use it as well as Beerus. Is that so, Beerus? Well, let me tell you this. No matter how strong you are, you can never defeat me because I have something you don't. The power of knowledge. As we continued the battle, Beerus was winning more and more and more, and I began to get more and more scared. I began to fear for my life. Ever since I became Frieza, I was always on top. I was always the most powerful, but now, I was weaker. Now, someone was actually strong enough who could challenge me, who can kill me. This wasn't supposed to happen. I would scream, no, I am Lord Frieza now. I can't lose. As I would start to fly away frantically, Beerus would smile and begin to chase me. As I flew with everything I had, I ran from him, flying from him as I landed on a nearby planet. Beerus would laugh. I'm a god of destruction. You think I can't follow you throughout a couple solar systems? I would say, please don't kill me, Beerus. Please. I got on my knees. I loved you. I watched this show every day. Please, I've seen Dragon Ball. I've seen Dragon Ball Z. I've seen Dragon Ball Super. I've even read the manga. Please don't kill me. As I began to cry, I'm sorry, but it's over. As Beerus put his hand over my head and began to get ready to erase me. You know, I've seen those videos of yours. They were shit. I would look up and say, were they now? Well, guess what? They may be shit, but they saved my life. As then, I would go evil containment wave. As since me and Beerus were almost equal in power, he just had a way better technique than me, I could trap him in the evil containment wave. As I began to whoosh him away, he began to yell out and scream. You see, I could easily trap him no matter what, but if he was too strong, I would die. As I trapped him in there, I began to laugh. Good thing I took a visit to Earth. Now this is a callback. Looks like you got King Piccolo, Beerus. As then Whis would land beside me, I'd begin to pant. Even though we are nearly equal in power, he still was stronger than me, so it took a lot of energy to seal him away. As I looked at Whis, oh, it seems like your great god of destruction is sealed away. It looks like you'll need a new one, doesn't it? Whis would look at me and say, you know, I could just unseal him. Fine. You won the battle. Even though you cheated, you still won. So, you'll be made god of destruction. Follow me for the ritual. I would fly up with Whis as I begin to pant and power back down to my base form. As I breathed heavily, Whis looked at me. You know, you could have just done that from the beginning. But, wait a second. You knew that, didn't you? That's why you put on such a big show. That's right. I made it look like I fought him with everything I had, then I ran away. So, if I just ran away at the beginning, he would have suspected something. But since I was worn out and pushed myself as far as I can go, it didn't look as suspicious.
It's been quite a while since I defeated Beerus and became God of Destruction. I have enjoyed the title, pretty much so. However, as I was on Earth, I didn't destroy Cell. So Cell got to continue to be made. I did this because, well, I was bored. And as long as I didn't show my black form on Earth, Cell shouldn't be that strong. So, Cell was eventually made. As Imperfect Cell got out of the lab, he looked around. He knew 17 and 18 weren't there. He had all the information from the computer. He wanted it. He needed it to become perfect. He decided to chew on some cities, absorbing them, using them for fuel, before he went out into space to try to find 17 and 18. But Cell had no idea where he was going. Cell was completely clueless. He didn't know anything about space or my empire, so he just flew looking for planet after planet. He landed on empty planet after empty planet until eventually landed on a planet with aliens and began to absorb them. As I was on my throne, I would get a report. Sir, on a weird creature, going to planet to planet, killing and eating our soldiers and citizens. This had to be Cell. I was intrigued, as I could give him 17 and 18, but I would lose 2 great soldiers. But to fight him at his best, to destroy him and torture him while he's strong, now that would give me so much pleasure. I looked at Vegeta. Vegeta, go train on Beerus' world. Are you sure? Yes. I walked down, as Whis was with me. Whis, go train Vegeta. Whis would say, I don't like that whole rebel streak you're going on. What? Yeah, you rebelled against Beerus, took him out, and now you're at the top, but you want more. I'll go train Vegeta, but no matter what you do, I'll have my eye on you, even if I'm not around you. Whis says as he left with Vegeta. I didn't really know what he meant by that, but it freaked me out. Was he just trying to mess with me? Was that a warning? Well, I guess he did see those videos where I killed the Omni King. So, I guess there's really not much for me to do. At least for now, I need to go with someone else to get my dirty work done, because I did want to get rid of the Omni King eventually, but that could wait. As I gathered 17 and 18 and began to go to where Cell was, I told them to stay on the ship though, as I hid the ship behind a moon and began to fly down to the planet. As the planet was completely barren now, nothing but dead bodies all around. I heard footsteps. As I looked, it was Cell. Cell then looked at me, terrified, knowing he can't beat me in this form. But I looked at him intrigued. I have an offer for you, Cell. An offer? Cell would then look at me confused. How do you know my name? And why should I trust you? Not like you have a good track record, Frieza. Oh, I kept that monkey Vegeta around, don't you know? And I've kept 17 and 18 so safe. And they're so healthy, and they're so strong. When you absorb them, you'll get so much power. How do you know I want to do that? I walked up to him and said, I know a lot of things. Things you couldn't even comprehend, Cell. But I have an offer. Once you absorb them, we're gonna fight. And if I win, you serve me. And if you win, you can just kill me or whatever. I don't really care. Cell would look and say, you think that's a great idea? I'm gonna crush you when I become perfect. I would then smirk and say, if you believe so, is it a deal? Cell would nod, agreeing to serve me if he lost. As then I would show Cell over to the spaceship. As Cell walked in, 17 and 18 would both look at him and go, who is this? I would say, you both served your purpose. Very well, in fact, but I just don't need you anymore, Cell. Go ahead. Cell would then charge in at him. 17 would dodge him, and 18 would begin the battle. 17 and 18 put up quite a good fight. And since they were androids, they could both breathe in space. Since we could all breathe in space, it didn't really matter if the ship got destroyed or not, which it did. As Cell would charge a special beam cannon, 17 would have to block it, but this would make him let his guard down. As he chased after him, 18 would push him out of the way, and Cell would absorb her and become a semi-perfect Cell. As 17 looked on, scared, what happened? Cell began to laugh. What happened was, I'm so close to perfection, and once I reach it, I will be in charge of this universe. These planets will feed me. I guess not. I won't need to eat once I become perfect. Oh well, they'll feed me entertainment before I get bored. 17 would begin to punch semi-perfect Cell and begin to cry. Why? 17 would cry in anger, crying in pain, and Cell would begin to absorb. But as that was going on, I heard a voice in my head. You're doing quite well. I think it's time I budge in. I would say, who are you? Who do you think? I'm the Emperor of the Universe, Frieza. You really think you just completely took over my body? I've been inside you. I'm the reason you don't care about any of these people anymore. I'm the reason you want all these things. I've been manipulating you from the inside. As I was talking to Frieza, Cell would look at me. Hey, I'm perfect now. As I looked at him, I would say, well done. Cell would then laugh and say, let me guess, you thought you can beat me because you're a little golden form. I have a surprise for you. And I transform into my golden form, as Cell transformed to his golden form. And I pretended to be scared. What? No, you can't have this power? Seems like you didn't know everything. Me and Cell began the battle. But Cell's golden form was stronger than mine, so he began to push me further and further back. I let him think he was winning. I let him think he was going to destroy me. And I kept going on and on and on about how sorry I was, about how I won't hurt him. But then I started to laugh. Alright, this is getting old. Cell looked at me confused. What are you talking about? And I would smirk. This is what it feels like to be on top. This is why I do the things I do. This is why I must have it. So, did you enjoy it, Cell? Cell would say, yeah. What are you doing? What kind of trick is this? Suddenly I would turn into my black form, and Cell would be shocked. He would walk back. That power! You can't be stronger than me. I'm perfect, Cell would say angrily. As I laughed and said, you're gonna have to work for me now. Cell then charged at me with his golden form, punching me with everything he had, but then I grabbed his arm and ripped it off. Cell would then regrow it as he began to pan. Aw, what's wrong, little Cell? Are you not as perfect as you thought? Cell would then scream, screw you, I am perfect, no one can defeat me. No one can. You know what you are, Frieza? You're nothing but a stepping stone. Something in my way. Once I beat you, that'll prove how perfect I am, and that'll prove that I'm ready for this universe. As Cell turned gold, he began to charge a Kamehameha and launch it straight into my face, but I did nothing. I didn't dodge it, I didn't block it, I just let it hit me as it did nothing. Cell looked down horrified. That's impossible. I put everything I had into that attack. How could this be? Suddenly, I would appear behind Cell as I would grab him by the neck and begin to choke him. Frieza inside me would say, very good. I'm proud of you. Seeing everything you've become? Then again, you've always known about me. You've always known more than me. And it was hard knowing that someone knew more than me. It angered me. But now I see that you're a blessing. Together we shall rule this universe. We shall rule this multiverse. I choked Cell more and more and said, do you submit, or am I going to have to wipe you out? Cell says, I submit, as I let go of his neck. Good. Now that you work for me, I have a plan in store. Hoo, 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 hoo. I laughed as me and Cell began to fly back to my capital planet. As we got there, Whis was also there. He brought back Vegeta. Vegeta has learned God Ki quite well and has become quite powerful, Lord. As he looked over at me and then looked at Cell. Who is this? He's my new servant. Cell, yes. He has appeared in your interesting details before. Whis didn't want to bring up that I made videos and was an alternate person in another universe. As he was talking, me and Whis began to talk too. I kept my eye on you, and you could have gone further, but you didn't. Good job, Whis would say to me. As then, he began to leave and say, oh, I know you really don't want me around, so instead of being your attendant, I'm basically just going to be the person who keeps an eye on you. Whis would then leave. As I sighed, I sit on my throne. That's not how a god of destruction should act. Again, I'm not a normal god of destruction, am I? As I begin to think, I decided to call over the Ginyu Force. I had a plan that only Captain Ginyu could help me with. I would call the Ginyu Force to go into the time chamber to make them stronger. However, I knew this is where Whis couldn't watch me, so I needed to act fast. I had a plan to overthrow the Omni King. As the Ginyu Force showed up, I walked in and began to talk to Captain Ginyu. So you have the power to switch bodies, right? Right. I want you to take Champa's body after this tournament. And then I want you to gather up all the Super Dragon Balls and wish for the angels to fall asleep and for Zeno to fall asleep forever. Can you do that? Captain Ginyu would look at me and say, yes, sir, I can. Excellent. Excellent work. Now train. I want all of you to be stronger. And we need to stay near for quite a while so it's not suspicious. I would train the Ginyu Force and make them become stronger and stronger and stronger. They have been trained under Vegeta, 17, 18, even Cell, so they have grown quite a bit, but I wanted them to grow more. After all, they're my elite fighting force. As I walked out, I then decided to go to Vampa and get Broly to prepare for this tournament. Because I knew Champa would come in for the Super Dragon Balls, and he would be mad that I killed Beerus, so I wanted to be ready for this tournament between Universe 6 and 7. So I went to Planet Vampa to recruit Broly. Paragus probably won't like working with Vegeta, but he doesn't really have to know that. I can keep that a secret from him, that I have Vegeta. As I landed on the planet, Paragus came out, realizing that he was saved. Finally, he's been on this planet for so long. He thought that help may never come. And it was Frieza himself. As I walked up, he said, Lord Frieza, hello. Paragus, is that you? I've heard about you. One of Vegeta's scientists. What happened? Paragus would explain to me everything, and I would say, shortly after I blew up the planet. It was full of traitors. But you don't care about that, do you? Since the Saiyans rejected you out, right? Like outcast? Paragus would look and nod. Well, then come aboard. As Paragus and Broly joined my forces, I knew it was time to get ready for the tournament. As I would look around for Champa, eventually I would find him trying to take a Super Dragon Ball, as me and Whis would appear behind him. Oh, Champa, didn't your mother tell you that taking from others isn't nice? He looked behind him and saw me instead of Beerus. He said, what? Where's Beerus? Who are you? Aw, did no one tell you? Beerus is gone. Forever. I got rid of him. Now I'm the new god of destruction. Champa would look out angrily, wanted to attack me, but Vados would stop him. He can't believe it. His brother's gone. Tears would fill his eyes. Aw, you're crying. Boo-hoo. I would expect more for Destroyer. Oh, yeah? I bet my universe is better, too. Champa would then yell, suggesting a tournament between the two. As I would nod and fly back, Whis would say, that's cold. I am freezing, after all. Whis would say, is that a pun? Yeah. I think you should stick to not making those. Me and Whis then began to gather up my team for the tournament. I went and sit down on the bench as I watched. This was a bit irritating that I couldn't compete since I was a god of destruction. However, I trusted my people to fight for it. And I told Cell about, Frost trying to cheat since he's first one up. The first match was Cell versus Botamu. As Cell walked over, Botamu would look at him and get ready to fight. You think you could take on me, Bugman? Cell would laugh and say, I'm no ordinary bug. This bug has DNA from all the strongest fighters in the universe. Botamu would then charge at Cell, as Cell would hit him, but then he would absorb all of his attacks with his fat body. He goes, I absorb your attacks. Cell would say, let's get this straight. You're so fat you absorb all my attacks? What kind of lame power is that? Botamu would then say, my power's not lame. Cell would say, it seems lame to me, man. As he grabbed his legs and began to toss him around the ring, throwing him off. As Botamu was defeated, the next match was Cell versus Frost. As the match began, Frost planned on cheating if Cell was too strong, but Cell knew about this and was going to play along. As Cell fought Frost, he would then tell him to transform into his final form. He would point up and say, I've seen all of his forms right there. And he's in his final form right now, so you should transform for your final form. Frost would sigh and say, fine, as he would go straight to his final. Him and Cell would begin to battle, but Cell was winning. Frost tried different techniques, he tried to fight, he tried to boast, but no matter what Frost did, he was going to lose. So, he needed to cheat. Frost cheating would be the only way of victory, so Frost then tried to stab Cell, but then Cell grabbed his arm and said, I knew you were gonna do that, but how? Let's just say, Lord Frieza knows more than you could possibly imagine. This shocked Frost and confused him. How would Lord Frieza know he was gonna cheat? Maybe he cheats too, so he knew he might try something since I'm like him. That's the only thing he could come to, but even then, that's kind of a stretch. So then look at him and say, goodbye, Frost. Frost would say, wait, as then Frost would get thrown off. But on the bright side, Frost wouldn't be exposed as a fraud, which is nice. Frost would then lose the match, as the next match was Kaba versus Cell. Continued to smirk as Kaba walked up. Cell then got ready. As the match started, Cell would begin to beat up on Kaba, hoping he would turn Super Saiyan, but nothing happened. As he beat him up, Kaba didn't transform to blue or anything. Cell then realized something, that Kaba couldn't transform. Without Kaba being able to transform, this match was pretty much already decided. This began to annoy Cell. With Cell annoyed, he decided just to end it. You're a worthless runt of a Saiyan. I can't believe I was excited to fight you, Kaba. Kaba would say, what do you mean? I'm a fine warrior. No, you're not. As then Cell just knocked Kaba off the edge, winning the match. The next match was Vegeta versus Cell. Vegeta began to walk up there, a big giant metal man, ready to fight. Cell then got ready to fight too. Vegeta looked down as he went chugga, chugga. Cell smirked and said, this will be interesting. As Vegeta continued the battle, Cell, he would shoot fireball after fireball from his mouth, magma after magma, but Cell dodged it all like it was nothing, then kicked him back. Vegeta was actually a cool fighter. He had many different techniques and many different things. Cell could easily beat him, but he was toying with him, holding back to have fun. And fun Cell did have. With his tough metal skin, Cell couldn't pierce him easily, and he shot magma blast after magma blast, keeping Cell on his toes. It really was a fun match. However, Cell would eventually get bored as he would turn gold. Universe 6 would look down in astonishment, amazement, as Cell would say, this is the power you can have. This is the power that you can achieve. As then Cell would knock Vegeta off, winning the match. As the next match was Hit versus Cell. Cell would turn gold as Hit would do a time skip, hitting him in all of his pressure points. Cell would get back up and eventually start to predict Hit's time skips. The battle was amazing. Cell started to predict Hit more and more and more and push himself further and further. However, Hit would then further his time skips. As the battle went on, I began to watch and taunt Champa. "Aww, is your little assassin having trouble with my man? We've knocked out so many of your fighters, and you haven't, and I haven't even lost one." Champa would get angrier and angrier. "Come on, Hit, knock him out. Do it for me. Do it for Beerus," he would say, trying not to cry, as Cell would again get bored. And just like I told Cell to do, because I wanted to see how strong Broly was, Cell jumped off the ring. As then the match went towards Hit. As then Hit would fight Broly. At first, Hit would begin to demolish Broly as he hit him with time skip, almost knocking him off the ring. But then Broly looked at him, got angrier, tapping into his Akare form as he charged at Hit. Hit would dodge and hit him again, but then Broly would get angrier and angrier and angrier and angrier. As Broly was getting stronger and stronger and stronger, Hit was getting more and more threatened. Hit couldn't keep this up for long. If Broly got too strong, he would knock him out. So, as the match continued, eventually Hit would build enough time energy to trap Broly and knock him off the ring. As Hit won, the next match was him versus Vegeta. Vegeta would go blue and charge at Hit. Hit was so tired he could barely time skip as he hit Vegeta again and again and again. But Vegeta's immortality meant he didn't take any damage, so all he did was tank all the hits, laughing. You can hit me as many times as you want hit, but it won't affect me. I am Vegeta, the Prince of all Saiyans, as then he hit with a massive final flash, knocking him off the ring. As Vegeta was victorious, the tournament ended. And I got all the Super Dragon Balls. And I was able to tell that we were on one too. However, Whis didn't let me wish because of my whole rebel streak, so I had to give the wish to someone else. I decided to give the wish to Vegeta, as Vegeta wished for... And Vegeta would wish for Trunks to also be immortal, so he can live together with his son forever.
After the wish, I knew the tournament of power was coming up, but I didn't even feel like fighting it. I already took care of Granola, and made sure the Galactic Prison was strengthened so Moro could never come out. I took care of this universe and the threats within, and Broly was made my student, so was Cell and Vegeta. I took care of anything that could threaten me inside my home, but outside my home, that is what scares me. Zeno could erase me no matter what, and I needed to fix that. So, I talked to Captain Ginyu and told him to activate the plan. Champa would go back to Universe 7 trying to gather the Super Dragon Balls to wish back his brother. Even though he didn't care, I knew deep down he cared, and that's why I sealed his brother away to become God of Destruction, so he can try to wish to save him. As Champa was gathering the Super Dragon Balls, suddenly he would see a spaceship fly near him. As he went off to a nearby planet, it was Captain Ginyu. Captain Ginyu would say, "I want to help you. Why should I trust you?" He would go on this fake backstory of how Frieza made him mad, and how Frieza killed his crew because they weren't strong enough, and he has a technique that can help defeat him. Champa would be intrigued as he said go on, as suddenly Captain Ginyu would say, "Change now!" and take his body. Then he would laugh, "That makes me the new God of Destruction." Vados would reluctantly agree, making Captain Ginyu the God of Destruction as he blasted him away. I do hate Frieza, however, so let's get these Super Dragon Balls. Vados was intrigued. Part of her thought that he could be working for Frieza. However, since he had such a great distinct taste for him, he decided to buy it. You see, I made sure Captain Ginyu had acting lessons. Each time we were in the time chamber, I trained his mind and I trained his acting. I made sure that Captain Ginyu could act like he hated me, like he wanted me dead, and that's why I was going to gather the Super Dragon Balls. Vados followed him, as he didn't like me that much either. I was the least like God of Destruction, at least for the angels. The other gods didn't care, but the angels knew who I was. The angels knew I came from another world, and they hated it. As Champa gathered up all the Super Dragon Balls, he summoned the dragon. And Vados was the only one who spoke the language, so she wasn't worried. At least that's what she thought. As suddenly, Captain Ginyu would speak the language and wish for the Omni King and all angels to fall asleep forever. As suddenly, Vados fell asleep. So did Whis, as he hit the floor, slumbering. And Zeno fell asleep too, as I began to laugh. Now I can take over each universe and rule it. This will be my masterpiece.
Then I began to gather everyone up. Cell, you will be the God of Destruction Universe 11. Captain Ginyu will be the God of Destruction Universe 6. I will be the God of Universe 7. But you will all bow down to me. And I'll have a general for each universe. As I went to Universe 11, Cell was going to be the ruler there. So I went over there with the Hector Heathen and waited. As I flew towards planet after planet, I began to destroy its population. I wanted Velmard to come after me. Eventually he did. Velmard and Jiren were both there. As I looked and said, well, it took you long enough. He would say, why are you doing this? Why are you in my universe? I began to laugh. Don't you see all the angels are asleep? Don't you see Zeno is gone? I did this. Now I will destroy all you gods and replace it with generals. I will rule this universe. I will be the new Omni King. Belmar looked at me and said, you disgust me. I would save Jiren for Cell. Even though Jiren was stronger than Belmar and I wanted a good fight, I wanted Cell to enjoy himself, and I wanted to see how far he came. So me and Belmar began to fight, as we both used Ultra Ego, but my Ultra Ego was far more powerful than his, and I transformed to my black form. As I began to torture Belmar, grab him, choke him, as I blasted him in all his pressure points, he began to bleed out as he yelled, why? You are a god of destruction. Why do you want more? Because I need more. I don't want anyone above me. I have to be on top. We have to be on top, Frieza would say inside of me, as we both began to laugh. Belmar would see two souls in our body, and when he realized what happened, it all makes sense now. You are two people. That's why you were able to achieve so much. He began to cough up blood as I threw him to the floor. That's right, I have achieved more than you could ever imagine. Now die, as I blasted him straight in the skull, killing him. As I looked back, Cell was battling Jiren. As Cell and Jiren began to battle each other, I began to watch as I smirked. This was entertainment. Jiren went into 100% power, but it did nothing as Cell began to torture him, push him back. It wasn't even worth watching. Cell just demolished Jiren, as suddenly I heard footsteps behind me. As I looked, it was Toppo and the rest of the Pride Troopers. They all charged at me, but I charged at them, moving so fast, cutting off all their heads, except for Toppo himself. As Toppo began to shake in fear. What is this? This isn't justice. I looked at him and said, no, you should give up justice. Maybe then you'll give me a worthy fight. Toppo sighed, as then he accepted the role and started to use Ultra Ego. As Toppo used this, he gave up everything he believed in. He gave up his justice. He gave up his honor just to win, just to achieve victory, just so he could do something. But it was all for nothing. As I turned black in Ultra Ego, I grabbed both of his arms and twisted it till it broke. As he fell to the floor crying out in pain, he said, justice, it doesn't matter. Destruction, it doesn't matter. No matter what I am, I always lose. Just get it over with. I would laugh and say, ooh, ooh, ooh. Seems like you are a party pooper. Aw, that's kind of sad. Did I break your whole mentality? Poor guy. As then I kill him. As I looked over, Jiren was defeated. Cell walked over him, and he was my new commander in Universe 11. Now let's go to Universe 6 with Captain Ginyu in Champa's body. As I went to Universe 6, I got Captain Ginyu. He went to the planet of the Saiyans and began to destroy city after city. Saiyan after Saiyan fell to us. Eventually, Kaba would show up with Kale and Caulifla, as they both would turn Super Saiyan and charge in. It seems they've been training while I've been gone. That's good. As I smirked, Kale would then try to attack me, as I would push her back and laugh. You really think you can handle me, mighty Lord Frieza? Kale and Caulifla would both come up against me. As with them being transformed, they were far stronger, but they were still no match for me. My black form was easily able to keep them both back, as I grabbed Kale by the neck and snapped it. This caused Caulifla to cry, watching her sister die, as she began to get angrier and angrier and angrier, as she charged at me with everything she had, but it was nothing, as I simply key blasted her in the head, death beaming her. As she fell to the floor dead, I looked down on her. Aw, looks like the little princess is dead. As then I heard footsteps. I looked over and it was Hit. Hit would say, we have something called a time chamber here. As Hit looked at me, I looked at him. Oh, is that so? So you did some training in the time chamber to get stronger. Let's see it. Hit would then do a massive time skip, hitting me at all my pressure points. That actually hurt me a little, as then I went to my black form. Me and Hit went at it. However, Hit could damage me, but I couldn't hit Hit because of his time skips. I began to get more and more annoyed, as I decided to just blow up the planet. As I would look at Captain Ginyu, get out of here. Captain Ginyu would get in the spaceship and fly away. As Hit would say, oh, are you getting annoyed? What are you gonna do now? As I looked at him. Suddenly, I would do a time skip of my own, punching him back. I can learn any technique just by seeing it once, as I spammed it again and again and again, absolutely demolishing him. I wanted to make you think you had the upper hand. So then, he would run away. And once he ran away, you would send Frost after me. I can tell he's behind me. Suddenly, Frost would begin to shake, scared, as I turned around. Then I blew up the planet, killing Hit, leaving me and Frost to survive in the vacuum. As Frost turned to his black form, he began to shake. How did you know I was there? I am Lord Frieza. I cannot easily be fooled. Come on, Frost. Frost Demon versus Frost Demon. Let's decide who's better. Fired a Death Beam as Frost fired a Death Beam too. Both the Death Beam hit each other and began to push with everything they had, but I yelled in anger. I yelled in strength, and I pushed myself. As Frost was black too, but I was far stronger. With my determination, with my tenacity, and with my knowledge, I was able to defeat Frost and become god of everything. Me and my generals took over every universe, and I ruled forever.